Well, hi there. Welcome to the Obi Thorn Alliance. I'm Jacob. This is Luke. In today's video, we are discussing and reviewing What If Episode 5. If you can, like and subscribe and comment. So, how did you like the episode? We finally got to see the zombie episode.
Yeah, it's been an episode we've been predicting that was going to come. We've been wondering how it was going to work, and I think overall I was happy with it. Again, it's hard to dislike a what if episode because they don't carry on. So if you didn't like it, you can go, oh, well, it doesn't matter. It's just a scenario. So overall, it was pretty good. It was one of the more interesting episodes. It was a bit fun. But I guess as we recap it, we can talk about the more nitty gritty stuff. But my take, pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was cool seeing, it could have possibly happened, and it was cool seeing zombies, and yeah.
Yeah, nice. So let's recap the episode. Well, how does this zombie thing start? How do they explain that the zombies come into this universe?
Basically, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Hank Pym goes to the Quantum Realm and gets his wife, and then instead of everything being all fine and dandy, basically the wife was infected with being a zombie. So basically, he brought it back, and then Hope flew away, and then Ant-Man Scott Lang got bit, so he was the first to be affected in our universe, I guess you can say.
Yeah, and then what we believe that the infection then spread, goes all around the world, and the Earth's mightiest heroes try and fight the hordes off, and they eventually succumb and become infected themselves. And Bruce Banner returns as he did in
Infinity Wars.
Yeah, so he's warning them of Thanos, but in fact he's more worried that now there's this zombie apocalypse. And I guess we've got a few survivors. Who are some of the survivors that are in there that are from the Marvel franchises that we know?
Spider-Man, Happy, Bucky, Agent Carter.
Yeah, the female character from the Black Panther. I can't think of her name.
Yes.
And then later we see that Prince T'Challa's still alive. We see Vision. Obviously, we see Bruce Banner and the Hulk. And I guess one of the funny things in it, they have Spider-Man's kind of like filming a documentary about how to survive an apocalypse, which is, to me, kind of reminds me of like Zombieland, how he has like his rules and you got to wear like long sleeve and you need to have good hygiene and all these things to help you survive. Just one thing we don't see civilians really.
No.
So do we assume that only they survived and everyone else is a zombie? So what's the idea? They find some people, the survivors. Bruce, they work out that there might be some kind of cure in New Jersey. And then they have to catch a train. And then what kind of happens with that scenario, trying to get the train to New Jersey?
Unfortunately, they lose some people. Happy with the Iron Man kind of blaster that Iron Man had in our universe. He was kind of making noises, and then he gets targeted down by Hawkeye, and Falcon kind of fight our Avengers that weren't affected. And I thought it was kind of funny how Falcon actually fights the Winter Soldier, because they just did a TV show together.
Yeah, there was quite a few little like Easter egg references in there. So they catch the train. A few other things happens during this train ride, and they're going to like a research facility where they believe there might be a cure to this whole thing. And then what? Then they get there and they realize that they run out of fuel and they've got to get through this massive horde to get to the facility. And then what happens with that?
Well, unfortunately, a couple of them don't make it, and then in the process, Hope got bit in her suit because Captain America came, and we got to see what was in the trailer, the fight with the scene with Captain America in the trailer. So that was cool, and then Bucky took him down.
Yeah. And I guess we'll talk about in the next section a few issues we've got with that. So Hope, she decides, she gets this full speech from Peter Parker, and he says like about never giving up, and he's always happy, and she says that she knows what she's got to do. She started this whole thing, and she has to help them. So she then goes large. She uses the suit to go big, and she then carries them over the horde of zombies and gets them to the fence they need to. And for some strange reason, the zombies won't enter the fence.
Yeah.
There's something like a force field or something preventing them. And then what do we later discover about that?
That Vision has been doing experiments with T'Challa, because that's kind of been the main reason why the General has been there. And then we get to see what we thought was Scott Lang's being dead, but he's
yeah, it's just his head in like a glass jar, kind of like think like in Futurama. It's like in Futurama you see characters that have that, and there's just these like things in heads that just remind me of that. But so there's like this force field, but we later find like he says that the Mind Stone somehow like affects them, and they're not interested. And he's found that the Mind Stone can reverse the effects of the zombiness, and like that's how Scott Lang has been brought back, but he's only a head, which we don't get told why that's the case. And they believe that like if they can get the Mind Stone to Wakanda, which is like the last place where the zombies haven't been, that they might be able to reverse this whole thing. Which we don't end up seeing, which is typical of What If, because it's just a what if scenario. They don't need to play out it. We can just imagine the rest.
And we also got to see Scarlet Witch being evil zombie.
Yeah, and we see what Vision has actually been luring people there so that he can feed them to Scarlet Witch, because he wants to keep her alive because it's his lover, but he can't reverse what the zombie-ness on her because she's too powerful apparently for it. I don't understand why he needed superheroes to feed to her. Why he couldn't have just fed her like other zombies, or fed her like civilians, or maybe there is no civilians left. Maybe that answers our question that only Earth's mightiest heroes were able to survive. He quickly changes his tone and realizes that what he's doing is bad, and then helps them, which I thought was a bit convenient. Helps them. They have a cool kind of battle scene. They get a ship, and then they take off to Wakanda, and we don't see what happens next.
Yeah, and Bruce Banner becomes Hulk and then fights Scarlet Witch, but we don't know who wins that fight. Yeah.
So it's left us with a lot of kind of what happens next, but which we know we'll never get the answer to, so we just have to imagine. So that's the episode, and it's kind of cool, like wondering what would happen if zombies entered the world with superheroes, because I'm sure other people have watched zombie shows and thought, I wonder what happened if superheroes had to fight zombies, and apparently in this world zombies are still more powerful than superheroes. Like nothing can beat zombies, like because if there's enough of them, they can take anyone down. So what's your thoughts? Like, how would you? I don't want to say rate the episode, but compare it to other episodes. What did you like about it? How good was it?
I would probably say it did the same thing as the previous episode. You can tell the tone has kind of changed. Like the previous episodes, you knew something bad was happening, but it kind of had a good ending. In this episode, it's revealed that Thanos has become a zombie, but he's still got all the stones, so we don't
Yeah.
know what's gonna happen. I kind of think, I guess, in this scenario, um, I guess half of the population are zombies on Earth, so that means no food will be needed. So, kind of takes care of that. So, I do have one problem with the episode. I don't know if you agree, but the problem I have is when the Avengers jump off on the Quinjet. I don't buy that the Avengers would have just done that. Like, we know that Tony Stark is the smartest person, and Captain America is a good leader. Like, tactically, it was doomed to fail. Like, basically, it happened, so.
Yeah, I agree. I don't believe that they would have taken him on that way. I think
No.
they would have also thought of a way that they could reverse it, or they would have been thinking like they would have went along the path with Vision and tried to find an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you thought about this, but I thought of a weapon, that would actually have helped them beat the zombies, and reckon they would.
Ultron?
Yeah, mate. You know what I was thinking? The in the Guardians of the Galaxy, how he whistles and that thing goes through, like that would actually take out a horde of zombies. I was thinking of all the weapons. Like I know, like Tony Stark could blast them and do all these things, but if you were there, they literally just hover some kind of ship above them, send the arrow out, and go do his whistle thing, and just go through all their heads and just kill every zombie. Like he could take out a horde real fast with that. Like that would be one weapon that would be super effective in a zombie apocalypse, because it would just take them all out straight through the head.
And Thor's hammer.
Yeah, Thor's hammer as well. And you go, we don't see Thor in that episode either.
No.
I thought it was Thor in the shower when it turned out to be Bucky. And Spidey's he's like, oh, you need to have good hygiene, and he opened the curtain and you saw someone with long hair. I thought that was Thor. But yeah, I guess if you think about it too much, you'll see lots of plot holes in it. What other plot holes did you see in the episode?
I guess kind of how was it that they were still had the smarts to keep using their weapons, and they were that intelligent to the scene when Bruce Banner came back, and then we get to see the scene that we saw in Infinity Wars play out, but it was only Bruce himself. And then we get to see this darker version of the zombie Avengers turn them into zombies. Are they just that intelligent as zombies that they can take out?
Yeah, I don't buy that Tony Stark could become a zombie but still know how to use his suits.
Yeah.
Like zombies are meant to be mindless and not know what they're doing. And that Captain America still had their powers. Like Captain America was still strong, and he could throw his shield and block with his shield. But then when Bucky threw it back at him, he didn't block it, and he just got cut in half. The fact that Hope stayed big after becoming a zombie. There's lots of little plot holes in it, and that Scarlet Witch could be a zombie with still her witch powers. I guess if you think about it too much, it won't add up. Also, question why the heroes that became zombies, why they were still after the other heroes.
Yeah.
Like they weren't just being like other zombies and mindlessly walking around. They were still working as a team trying to take down the Spider-Man and the heroes that weren't zombies yet. It seemed a bit strange that they not only became zombies, they became evil. There's a few things about that don't quite add up. I guess we never explained why Dr. Pym's wife, how she became a zombie, just because she was in the quantum realm. I guess it's one of those things you don't need to think about too much. You just go, oh well, it's a interesting scenario. What would have you liked to have seen different? You reckon that we could have the same scenario but in a better way?
Maybe it would have been cool to see maybe as Guardians show up and Thor would maybe like those Guardians show up and I don't know, like take them down. Like I'm certain Thor would have been able to handle it.
Mm. My thought would be like, so we assume that Dr. Pym's wife comes back and she's somehow a zombie, like, which seems a bit far fetched. Maybe just like other zombie movies, you know how people become infected because of, I don't know, a bug that's in meat, or they some kind of experiment or a vaccination or something. Like whether that could have just happened, but we also just have superheroes, and the superheroes like, yeah, we can take it on. Like I don't know, like imagine like the Avengers trying to stop COVID, like how that would work, like something like that. And so like whether they needed that explanation that she came back from the quantum realm with the zombie virus is, I don't know if that was necessary. We could have just assumed that just like any other movie that zombies just started from some weird experiment or but yeah, I don't know. I guess that's how they chose to explain it, and it's fine.
In your mind, how would you like to think the scenario would have played out? Because I guess that it's a good thing and a bad thing. You kind of get a depressing ending in Doctor Strange, and we get to see Thanos at the end as a zombie. Do you think it's creative of what it does, or would you like to actually get an ending of a scenario?
I would like to see an ending to a scenario, but I guess that would need multiple episodes to do that. I guess I would like to assume in this scenario that, you know, they go to Wakanda, they work out that you can't reverse it. Like once someone's dead and their insides are rotten, you can't undo that unless you go back in time, which I guess is something they could do. Like that's not impossible. Like they've done it in several ways, manipulated time. But maybe what they work out, they find a way to maybe neutralize or kill the zombies in what, like a really quick way, and that maybe that, but undoing all the hard work, no, I don't think so. I think that once someone's a zombie, they're a zombie, unfortunately. But yeah, I guess they could go back in time and not bring back Dr. Pym's wife, and then maybe that's why maybe then in another scenario he then turns evil again, because he's like, oh, well, you can't, no, I want my wife back. And they're like, well, if we bring her back, you're going to destroy the earth, and I don't know, he becomes a villain because of it again. But yeah, the fact they can still use their powers is questionable. The fact that you know, like Wong was still creating the little portals and whatnot, but it was funny. There's funny parts. You mentioned Happy, how every time he like shot the cannon, he was making like a power sound. Yeah. And then even when he became a zombie, he was still walking out making the noise. Yeah. Yeah. So there's funny parts to it. It's good to finally see Spider-Man in a scenario.
Yes. And did you like to Charlotte Boseman coming back as Black Panther?
Was he did he voice that as well?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure because I thought that they made a big deal that the last episode that he was in was like the last we were going to hear from him. So that was cool. Is there anyone you would have liked to have seen in the scenario that we didn't?
Probably Thor.
Yeah, Thor would have been cool. Can't really think of anyone else. It's interesting the selection of characters they decide to keep.
Yeah.
That they mix when they do these what if scenarios, that like Happy makes it and like Spider-Man makes it, and like they just, I don't know,
Bucky makes
it. It's just a random selection, but it's cool.
What scenario do you think you'd like to see for episode 6 next Wednesday?
Maybe the one they've teased with Iron Man and going off with Warmonger. I think that's probably the only one I can think of that I haven't seen anything for yet. And didn't you say that you've seen a scenario where like Spider-Man becomes Doctor Strange, or do you reckon maybe that was just the trailer made us think that, but it doesn't actually happen?
I think so, yeah.
Because we saw in that episode, he had the cape. Is that what you saw in the trailer that made you think that?
I think so.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think we haven't been given any more information. That's the only other preview we've seen of what another scenario could be. But you said there's 10 episodes?
Yeah, 9 to 10, yeah.
Yeah, so we've still got potentially 4 more that we don't know about yet. So this could be when it gets a bit interesting. They've saved the best to last. Yeah, so I'm hoping for that. What do you reckon would be a scenario you'd like to? What would be a what if scenario you would create?
I would create.
Yeah.
What if? What if the Mandarin was actually in Iron Man 3?
Okay. I'm trying to think how that works. So in the Mandarin's in Iron Man 2, isn't he?
Iron Man 3, he was played as a actor named Trevor.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because of the director played it out as like a twist. But it would be interesting to see if the Mandarin was in Iron Man 3.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. So in Iron Man 3, we've got the actor pretending,
To be Trevor.
and then how does that end? How do they stop it? Or we just they don't. He knows that the Mandarin's behind it, but he never gets to meet the Mandarin. Is that the idea?
In the scenario?
Yeah, in the actual movie.
Oh, what happens in the movie? He meets up with the person that we think is the Mandarin, and then he says, "Oh, I'm just a paid actor."
Yeah, and that's just how the movie ends. Like the Mandarin doesn't complete the terrorist attack or whatever he was planning, or
Oh, it was someone being paying and getting that Trevor to do it, but it was a different villain.
yeah. So obviously, like you haven't seen Shang-Chi yet. We
No.
see the Mandarin in that.
Yes.
And there's obviously reference to that movie in it. So, yeah, and when I was watching the movie, I was trying to think. I remember what happened, but I was like, why do we not see the Mandarin? Like, why does he not come out and fight Tony Stark in that movie? Why did they give up so easily? But yeah, that's a cool scenario. So what would you have happen in that what if scenario then? So the Mandarin like takes on Tony Stark and
that we don't get the paid actor that twist that the Mandarin is actually the villain.
I reckon a scenario I'd have would be what if so Tony gets when he gets shot by the terrorist and then he makes the suit and becomes like Iron Man. Instead of doing that, he joins the terrorist and then he makes the suit and he becomes a villain.
Okay.
Yeah, so then the Avengers have to fight Tony Stark and his group of terrorists. Another scenario, I don't know, maybe Spider-Man, instead of getting bitten by a radioactive spider, gets bitten by a radioactive something different, and he becomes a different type of hero, and he has the powers of, I don't know, maybe he gets bitten by some kind of like sea creature, and he becomes almost like an Aquaman kind of thing. Like maybe he can harness the powers, and instead of requiring a city and having to being able to swing, instead Spider-Man is only useful in the water. Because I can't really think of any water superhero that's in the Marvel universe. So like something like that would be cool. A what if? Do you think maybe the last 4 what ifs episodes we haven't seen no previews for it in the trailer because maybe they're related to movies that have recently came out? Like there might be a Shang-Chi what if, and they haven't shown it because they're waiting for the movie to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe something like that would be cool.
Well, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for helping Luke. Like and subscribe. See you. Let the force be with you. Bye-bye.